I'm very, very excited to be speaking for the second time for the Stand Up to Bullying rally. I don't know if this is your first time coming here, your second time coming here, but let me tell you, when you leave this place, you will feel so pumped and excited and ready to put an end to bullying with me. Am I right? Okay, first I want to start with a little few disclaimers. Are you ready for these? I mean, they're not funny, but they're funny. The first thing is, I can only see out of one eye, my left eye. I will tell you the benefits of that coming very soon, but right now the benefits aren't working in my favor. And 2 minutes before I was supposed to be up on stage, my contact fell out. I know. So I can't really see anything right now except those lights. So if I look like I'm looking around and I'm like really into it, it's because I can't see. I'm just gonna be honest and not pretend that I can't. But let me explain to you why I can only see out of one eye. I was born with a very, very rare syndrome that only 3 people, only 3, in the entire world that we know of have. The oldest girl that has it, her name is Amanda, and she lives in England with her husband. I'm the second one that has it, and of course, you've met me. My name's Lizzie. I'm 24 years old, and I was born and raised in Austin, Texas. Thank you. I laughed really hard when I was asking what the weather was here, and someone said, "Oh, don't worry, it's gonna warm up to 50. In Austin, it was 40 degrees yesterday, and people were calling it like a winter storm of 2013, and it wasn't even like icing. But anyway, I'm from Austin, Texas, and the third girl that has it, her name is Abby. Abby is about to be 19 years old, and she just started her freshman year of college. Out of the 3 people in the world, 1 from England, 1 from Austin, can you take a guess where the third one is from? New Hampshire. Here she is. No. She's from Austin as well. I know, crazy. I told my mom it was probably something in the water like that her and my mom drank, that they both got it. But out of the 3 of us, I'm definitely the smallest. Abby and Amanda are a whole lot taller than I am, and they can both also see out of both of their eyes. We aren't sure whether I lost my vision because of the syndrome or I don't even know why, what reason, but I lost my vision when I was 4 years old, and since then my eyes kind of turned different colors, and it was very hard for me to adjust to that, but I definitely have learned a lot of tricks to being visually impaired. And I don't know if any of you are visually impaired in here, but if you are, let me tell you a good tip. If somebody is annoying you, or you don't really want to look at them, or you just want to get away from them, have them stand on your blind side. And when you look forward or look that way, it's like they're not even there. Like they don't even exist. In school, if people are handing you papers forward on your blind side, just sit there and see what they do, if they hold it longer, or if they like hit you on the face and they're like, "I'm giving you this paper." But growing up, I had a very hard time because, as you can imagine, being young, being in elementary school, being a girl, being a small girl, on top of all of that, having a syndrome that made me look completely different from everybody else. Imagine what that would have caused my childhood to be like, and what is the number one thing that I had to deal with for many years. What? Bullying. Every single one of us in this room, no matter how tough you want to seem, if you think it's embarrassing, every single one of us have dealt with some form of bullying. And unfortunately, it's something that's going to continue to go on, and it's unfortunately branched into cyberbullying. How many of you know what cyberbullying is? I can't see you, remember, so you have to yell if you know it. I want to share with you guys a little bit about my experience with cyberbullying, because a lot of people who see me, okay, pretend you see me and I'm walking around and you see like the smallness of my legs and you think, does that girl have an eating disorder? What's wrong with her? Why is she so small? It's okay to think these thoughts, because if I see somebody who's different, that's what I would think too. But the reason that I'm so small is because I was born with a very rare syndrome that does not allow me to gain weight. Some might think, wow, you have like the best diet in the whole world, because I can eat absolutely whatever I want, whenever I want, and not gain a pound. Like I said, I'm 24 years old, and I've never weighed over 62 pounds my entire life. So it's really, really small. But the good thing is that even though I am so small, my bones are really, really strong. And a lot of people don't believe me when I say that, so I have to do things to prove to them that my bones are really strong. And in order for me to do that, if somebody comes up and they hug me and they're like, oh, Lizzie, you're so nice. Like, bring it in. Give me a hug. But I do have to admit, growing up was kind of one of the hardest times in my life that I've ever had to deal with. When I was younger, my parents raised me to be completely 100% normally. They always encouraged me to do things and to put my mind to something. They always cheered for me. They always supported me. Our friends and our family, everyone was just so nice to me. And so on the first day of kindergarten, I'm sure you all remember what that was like. The night before, you're really excited and you can't wait, and you're thinking like, oh, this is gonna be so cool. I was like that. I had my Pocahontas lunchbox, I had my Pocahontas backpack, my matching bow, and my ruffled socks. And I was ready to go. My backpack was like the biggest turtle shell you'd ever seen in your life. But I walked in with my dorky little smile and my giant glasses and my giant bow, and I saw a little girl who was kind of just sitting, reading a book. And she was looking down, and I went up to her and I said hi in my little Minnie Mouse voice. And she looked up at me like I had been the scariest thing she'd ever seen in her entire life. Ever. Mind you, we were 5 years old. My immediate reaction to that was, she's rude. She's missing out. I'm the fun kid, and she's probably not the fun kid because she's being mean. And I thought the rest of the day was going to get better, but it didn't. The entire day kept getting worse and worse and worse. I could not comprehend or understand, why didn't anybody like me? Why were people calling me pork chop legs? Why were they asking if I was an old lady? Why were they making fun of my 2 different color eyes? Because again, in my mind, I was just like them. And it was very, very hard for me to kind of still keep that happy side when on the inside I was angry and I was upset and I was really mad that I was born with this syndrome, because I didn't look like the popular girls. I remember not ever letting my parents see that I was upset. When I was born, I was my parents' first child. I only weighed 2 pounds, 10 ounces. If you put your hands out like this, I can't see if you're doing it, so I trust you. But when you put your hands out like that, that's how small I was. I was so small that they had to take me to Toys R Us to get doll clothes because regular baby clothes didn't fit me. But what helped the most with my parents is that whenever I would go home, they would always say, Lizzie, you are just like everybody else. The only thing is that you look a little bit smaller. They said, continue to be yourself when you go to school. Be yourself. That's all you have to do. That's all it's going to take. And in my mind, I thought, that is not going to work. That's the dumbest advice ever. Like, you try going to kindergarten and be yourself. But I did it. I somehow did it, and it worked. To my biggest surprise, it worked. I went to school. I was acting like myself. I started making friends. Those friends started becoming my bodyguards in a good way. Whenever they would see people staring at me or whispering things about me, they would go up to them and they would say, "This is my friend Lizzie. That's not very nice. You should be nicer." And over time, that same routine kept helping. And in turn, that confidence that I was getting from them, I started taking on. So when I started middle school and high school, I got it in my mind that I wanted to figure out, who am I as a person? Because when you're a teenager, I think the number one question you ask yourself is, what do I want to be? Who am I? Where do I fit in? But then in the back of your mind, you're hearing, if I do what I want, people are just going to make fun of me, or they're not going to believe me, or they're not going to think that I can do it, or I don't even think I could do it. A lot of people kind of get stuck in those thoughts. But for some reason, I wanted to turn it around. So when I was in middle school and in high school, I said, Lizzie, you're going to try out and join every club possible. And I did. You will not believe that I even tried out for cheerleading. It's okay to laugh, because my mom laughed at me when I told her I was going to do it. And to be completely honest with you, the only reason that I tried out was because the uniform was really cute. I didn't want to cheer. I didn't want to work out. I, without a doubt, pulled the "Help Me, I'm Little" card. And when people would have to, again, I'm from Texas, where it's 9 million degrees in the summer. And so when they would have to run the track, I would say, "Oh, I can't, I'm little." And I got out of it, and I would our coach would be like, "Okay, just go ahead and lay on the floor and do crunches." And I would have food, and I'm just lounging out. And then they'd get back breathing all heavy, and I'm like, I know, that was a tough one. I don't know how we did it. But I think by that little process and not being aware that I was doing it, I started realizing that I'm a people person. I like being around people. I like who I am. I was still having struggles with the fact that I couldn't wear what other kids were wearing. I couldn't wear the tight jeans that you wear and you're shaking your butt and walking and you know it, but you don't want to really show it, but you're really shaking it. That's what I wanted at the time. Because in my mind, I had to buy little kid clothes that had Dora and Bedazzle and flowers and butterflies. No guy or cool person is gonna think, look at those girls with the Dora pants. Look at those Velcro shoes, because I have Velcro shoes, all right? I own it. But one of my biggest problems that I think every single one of us kind of fall into without even thinking it is comparing yourself to other people. For so long, comparing myself to whoever it was took me down such a negative path. The second I would see a gorgeous blonde girl, I would think, oh, she's so pretty. She has so many friends. Everyone likes her. It was a bad thing for me to do, because those bad thoughts just kept sucking me in. And I would not only hear the comparison in my head, I would hear the names that I was called in my head. I would hear pork chop legs, I would hear grandma, I would hear monster, I would hear all these other things. And over time, it didn't happen overnight, but over time I started thinking, okay, I was born with this syndrome, 1 out of 3 people in the entire world. So I should probably use it to my advantage, or I'm gonna live a long, annoying, unhappy life. Luckily, I decided that I was going to change it around, make it positive, accept who I was, and cross my fingers and pray that everything else would fall into place. And so that's what I did. The second I started comparing myself, I started thinking, well, her jeans look really nice, but I'm having a really good hair day today. Or that girl can see out of two eyes, but in my mind, I can't comprehend what it's like. Maybe she's seeing way too much, and I'm seeing just the right amount. So little things like that kept happening. But again, when I was in high school, I really started growing into my own skin. I really started liking who I was. I tried out for cheerleading. By the way, I made the squad. I came home one day, like after practice, and I was like, yeah, I made varsity. I did it. And my dad was like, you do know that's the only squad they have at the school. Everybody made varsity. And I was like, Dad, there was no need to burst that bubble because I was really excited. But I did that, and I was a flyer, and you can imagine how high they threw me up because it was kind of crazy. Whenever you get that feeling on a roller coaster with your stomach and then you fall down, I've never been on a roller coaster because I'm convinced I'd fly out, but I would get that feeling, and I remember the girls were just so scared that if they dropped me, I would break. And the only way that I could get them to believe I wouldn't break is the first time that I fell from pretty high up, I started laughing really hard. And I was like, I'm fine, let's do it again, move on. Again, I started feeling confident in who I was. I joined the school newspaper. I took pictures for the school yearbook, which, by the way, having a person who can only see out of one eye probably wasn't the best idea to have someone take yearbook pictures, because I'd look at it and think it was a masterpiece, and my teacher's like, this is so blurry, you can't even see a face. But I did that. I joined theater. I was in my first play ever, and I won an award. And I hate acting. I don't even know why I did that. But everything was just starting to go from really, really hating myself to really kind of liking myself to accidentally, unfortunately, finding something that made me feel like I was dirt. What made me feel like dirt was when I was introduced to the world of cyberbullying. I was at home procrastinating, doing homework one day, and you guys know you all do it. I still do it, and I'm not even in school anymore. But I was looking on YouTube, listening to music, and I saw on the right-hand screen pictures that looked familiar. And one looked kind of really, really familiar, or a little too familiar. I clicked on this video not knowing that it was going to be something that would completely change my life from one YouTube video. I clicked on the video, and the video was labeled "The World's Ugliest Woman." What makes that even worse? The video was of me. When I was younger, I was on a TV show. I was about 11 years old. I had braces, I had big glasses, and whoever posted this posted an 8-second clip with no sound. Scrolled down, and there were over 4 million hits to this video.
Lizzie, I don't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to get up and close with the cheerleader that's pretty. I mean her, so give her some noise because she's gorgeous. You guys are the worst wingmen ever. You just left me hanging high and dry. Come on. All right, in all seriousness, this is awesome, and I feel terrible for interrupting, but I'm going to be selfish because I have a question.
Okay.
And also, if any of you have any questions, and I'm sure you do, we got 2 microphones on the floor, one on that side and one over there as well. So feel free right now to start lining up. We'll take your questions for Lizzie, but I'll kick it off. I was bullied hardcore in 7th grade. It was miserable. My self-esteem was like lower than this floor. And I'm sure other people have sadly had to deal with it too. So the first thing I want to ask you is, what's your best advice? You seem like a bright girl. You obviously know a lot. You've lived through a lot. What's the best advice for anyone that you have who's struggling with bullying and also self-confidence?
My best advice is something that I don't want to tell you guys something that I've read in a magazine that I probably didn't think is true, but after living through it, my number one best advice to get through bullying, which will in turn help your self-esteem, is you first have to learn to accept and love and believe in yourself, because every single one of you are worthy enough. Once you're able to do that, once you're able to have the confidence and walk out of your house proudly and say, "Hello world, I'm so-and-so. I'm awesome, I'm smart, I'm determined, I know what I can do," every single aspect of your life will fall into place.
That's awesome. Sorry, I'm just kind of starstruck right now. I mean, you're awesome, and I feel like, can I have your autograph after the show?
We could take a picture.
Maybe like a hug?
Yeah.
Awesome. We're going to go up to the floor. Does anybody have any questions out there? Honestly, there's bright lights in my face, so I can't see. So feel free. Whoever's at a microphone right now, ask a question.
Don't be shy.
I see a couple people walking up.
Hi, guys. I had a question. What was your first reaction when you saw the video?
My first reaction was I bawled my eyes out for like an hour, and I was really, really shocked and upset, especially because there were over 4 million people who saw that video. And the fact that there were comments of people telling me to kill myself and telling me to do the world a favor, to put a gun to my head, it was just awful. But quickly, those sad tears turned into anger, and the anger turned into determination. And then I decided I was going to fight back and have my best revenge with my accomplishments. They weren't going to win. I was going to make myself better.